As with most sports, there has been and always will be a debate about which athlete towers above the others in terms of achievements and legacy. Golf has been blessed with many wonderful players throughout its long, rich history. So, you can imagine that the idea that the greatest golfer is between one of two players doesn't exactly go down well with everyone. However, that's another debate of its own. Today is really about putting to bed who is more deserving of the GOAT, greatest of all time, crown in golf. Jack Nicklaus or Tiger Woods. Both men are some of the most influential players of their time. Other up-and-coming players have been likened to them, further cementing their places in the annals of golf history. So, let's settle this debate once and for all. Legends of the game. The year was 2002 when Tiger Woods lined up alongside Jack Nicklaus at the Battle at Bighorn, a made-for-TV golf show. Woods was only 26 at the time, while Nicklaus was the same age but flipped. 62. Talk about the universe having a sense of humor. 6 years into his pro career in the tour, Woods proved he could meet Nicklaus's 18 majors record and even surpass it. You could tell Woods looked up to the older player too, like when he said, "It's kind of amazing how two different people from two different eras who don't have much contact can feel close, but we do." Woods may have done enough as a young golfer not to get branded the next Nicklaus, but instead the first and only Tiger Woods despite similarities in their gameplay. Nothing proved that more than Nicklaus's and Woods' affinity for the big games. When the moment necessitated, both players could step on the gas or take their foot off. Is it any surprise then that Augusta National was the playground for both golfers in their heydays? Curiously though, Woods is only 3 majors shy of equaling Nicklaus's record, yet confidence in his ability to pull it off is lower than in his younger years. The 2024 Masters seemed like the perfect opportunity for Woods to show he was still a challenger, but finishing 60th in the tournament in April, just hovering above the cut line, proved hardly convincing. He exited the course with a 16 over 304, his highest 72-hole score in over 30 years of playing golf. What does that mean for Tiger in this debate? Difference in time and technology. Before we crown Nicklaus off the back of Woods' underwhelming performance at the Masters, let's explore what made both players the best of their time. Golf in Nicklaus's days isn't the same golf Woods plays today. Sure, the sport is the same, and the objective of smacking a ball into a hole has hardly been reinvented. However, the landscapes of both eras could not be more different, from club and ball technology to advancement in course designs. Nicklaus's prime lasted from the late 1960s to the mid-1970s. Golf club technology revolved around Persimmon Woods, and Dunlop and Spalding were the leading producers of golf balls. A shot across 275 yards was a bomb drive. If we were to take Woods at his peak to this time, without the injuries or scandals, he would win several tournaments and own some courses. But it's unlikely that he'd have been a match for Nicklaus then, who had to use the archaic technologies of his time. By contrast, if Nicklaus played modern golf with all its technological advancements and advantages, you'd be hard-pressed to find a critic who wouldn't back him to beat his best records. However, that may not be entirely true. Nicklaus would still be one of the best golfers around, no doubt. But he may not go through 156-man fields with the ease and flair of Woods. Besides, technological advancements help, yes, but they aren't exactly a solution. A bad player doesn't suddenly play good golf because they're handed a metal club instead of persimmon wood. Both men are simply great for the era of golf they played in. Woods mastered the technological advancements and played to his strengths to etch his legend in the game. Nicklaus, on the other hand, played with unforgiving equipment and little to no tech and was a master of the simplicity of his time. Stats. Majors. In terms of consistency, Nicklaus takes the round for his ability to show up at every major championship. Between the age of 22 and 58, he didn't miss out on a single major. If anything, he only seemed to double down. By 1990, he was 50, yet participated in 35 of 36 senior majors, winning 8 across the board. Woods, on the other hand, hasn't had that same level of consistency. It's not all his fault, of course. He's had his fair share of health problems that kept him away from 19 majors, which includes 8 of the last 12. His pro streak of 46 back-to-back majors ended after he bagged the 2008 US Open with a nasty leg injury. Major victories. Woods was only 33 when he clinched his 14th major at the 2008 US Open. That was a player in his prime, And besides the injury woes, it still looked like his peak would last a little longer. It's no surprise that most expected him to surpass Nicklaus's 18 majors and reach 20 or more majors. Jack was slightly older than Woods when he won his 14th. It was 1975, and he was 35. Between them and his 40th birthday, he managed one other win. Missed cuts. During Woods' last year as an amateur, he missed the cut for the 1996 Masters and didn't miss the cut for another major until the 2006 US Open. Nicklaus didn't miss a single cut throughout the 70s and well into the 80s until 1986. That streak included the 1981 British Open, where he got himself in a pickle at Royal St. George's. The previous day before the 1981 Open commenced, his son Steve was apprehended for driving under the influence in Columbus, Ohio on, ironically, the Jack Nicklaus Freeway. After shooting 83 on Thursday, Nicklaus looked set to be on his way home on Friday evening to handle his familial affairs. Instead, he hit 66 on Friday to make the cut and finished at a respectable 23rd on Sunday. Majors missed. Nicklaus was only 22 when he participated in his first US Open and won. It took another 36 years before he missed a major. This category tells Woods' story better than any other. His long-standing leg injury, spinal problems, including getting fusion surgery, and scandals contributed immensely to slowing down, if not derailing, what was undoubtedly a march to 20 or more majors. Nicklaus, on the other hand, didn't start missing majors until he was 58. Overall impact. This is arguably the only category that Woods completely flattens Nicklaus without a shadow of a doubt. Off the course and in the bigger picture of the sport, fewer players have cut a defining figure better than Tiger Woods. In fact, for golf, Gus' impact is second to none. Jack Nicklaus was the best golfer of his time, but 50 years after his run, you could make a compelling argument that Arnold Palmer had a better brand, legacy, and even more iconic moment: his 19th hole drink. Everything that makes Palmer renowned so many years later means he had a better impact on the sport than Nicklaus. Plus, given that players like Tom Watson, Lee Trevino, and Gary Player were also dominant figures in Nicklaus's era, the impact pie wasn't one person's to bake and eat, but was divvied up amongst the best of the best. Compare that to Woods' era, when the sport was witnessing the absolute domination of a single man. He was not just blowing minds, but also breaking racial and social divides and inspiring up-and-coming golfers to dream big. Additionally, Tiger Woods brought a coolness to the game that made it more than just a pastime for the bored elite that a few people took too seriously and made it a sport. For Woods, golf is a sport, and he treated it as one, with all the athleticism and strength any other sport would require. He evolved with the times and transcended his generation. At some point, he became the go-to for testing courses, such that tiger-proofing a track became part of golf lingo. The game is more diverse and inclusive than it's ever been, and some of that can be attributed to Woods' influence and overall impact. Legacy. For legacy, though, it's much harder picking between Jack and Tiger. So, we must do it on merit alone and how the world sees both players, not just their impact on golf alone. In modern golf, image is everything. And for a lot of the world, that also is true. Nicklaus's image is that of a dominant player who dominated the sport. When he was done, he started a business career. Besides his son's DUI, he had a fairly decent familial life and was married to his wife for 62 years. We all know how Tiger's turned out. It may not be anywhere near as squeaky clean as Nicklaus's, and the player himself fears his scandals might cloud his legacy when he retires. However, Woods hasn't been entirely horrible at the familial level. He's an engaged father who's good with his kids and may just be raising the next generation of Woods superstar golfer in his son Charlie. So, I'd say both men take points in this category. Final verdict. For those obsessed with the numbers, it's clear as day that Jack Nicklaus wipes the floor with Tiger Woods. In his time, Nicklaus was up against players who had won between 5 to 8 majors, and he beat them to more majors in that time. Woods' numbers are impressive too, but he's up against players who have between 3 and 6 majors, like Padraig Harrington, Vijay Singh, Phil Mickelson, and Ernie Els. So, Woods is effectively competing and winning against opponents that aren't nearly as good as those in Nicklaus's time. It's no contest that the best guys in Nicklaus's era stand head and shoulders against the best guys in Woods' time, but Nicklaus bodied his era to over 79 wins, including victories in 18 majors. Also, it's worth noting that some of Woods' victories have come in non-major tournaments, which meant he was up against less competition, not to mention that he hasn't exactly been unbeatable in majors. In 2002, Woods was played out of the park by Rich Beem. 3 years later, he succumbed to Michael Campbell in 2005. Then there was the Y.E. Yang beatdown in 2009. So, with fewer participants in the tournament and everyone having a fair chance at the title, competition is fairly weak and the odds are much easier. So, while Tiger Woods might be the bigger golfer of the two in terms of impact and legacy, Nicklaus had the better career and takes the GOAT crown for now. Let's see if Woods still has a point to prove after the Masters disaster class. If you love this video, please like, share, and comment on what you think of both golfers, and subscribe to the channel. See you soon!